I want to welcome everybody to our Zoom webinar today. For those that don't know me, my name is Josh Hahn. I'm one of the founders of the Healthcare Academy. I apologize, I don't have video today capability, so you have to bear with me. Again, as I mentioned, I'm one of the founders of the Academy, along with my partner in crime, Scott Miles. I want to thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. I'm sure you've got plenty of educational options, so I know it means a lot to us that you keep coming back to us. So just some quick announcements before I introduce our speaker today. First, I want to thank all of our great partners that make these events happen. Central States Recovery, Scott and Chuck, Hinkle Law Firm, Chris, Melissa, and the team at Hinkle, the board at MGMA of Kansas, Hub International, that's myself and Chris Ford, Midwest Single Source, Mike King, who actually brought us our speaker here today, Sunflower Bank, Jessica Dunbar, and Trajectory Revenue Cycle Services, Derek Base. So again, on behalf of our partners, we thank you. We know you have many choices in the market. When you make us that choice as your trusted partner, it means the world, even in these crazy times, even more so in these crazy times today. Second, while we would love to be meeting in person, I think we all agree it's just not the right thing to do right now. So I foresee webinar formats, into at least the Q1 of 2021 and potentially beyond, but we'll continue to monitor that. Hopefully we'll have a chance to get back in person when it's safe for us to do so. If you have any topic speakers in mind for next year, for early next year, please don't hesitate to email me directly. And we always want to listen to our attendees and give you guys back the content that you deserve. So that's really my quick announcements. Again, you guys came here to listen to Coach Lee Gray. I'm thrilled to have her today with us. Coach Lee is with Action Coach and is a certified business coach providing business help, business advice, business coaching, and mentoring services to small and medium-sized businesses. Coach Lee has a strong business development and marketing background with a passion for helping businesses like yours grow and become profitable. So without further ado, Coach, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Josh. And can everyone see my screen and me on the screen? They should see me in the upper right. Can someone give me a thumbs up or a yes to that? I'm not hearing anyone, so I'm going to assume that everyone can hear me. I guess I'll know soon enough if you can't. So we are going to be using a presentation today called Minty, and it's an interactive presentation. So you're going to be using your phones. I'd like for you all to pull out your smartphone and go to Google or your favorite browser and type in Minty, MENTI.com. and use the code. For those of you that can see your screen, it's on the top of your screen. So once you get to MENTI.com and use the code 8558392. And I will be asking you some questions throughout the presentation to get your feedback and to kind of keep it energized and interactive, if you will, because let's face it, we've been Zoomed to death, haven't we? Or at least I feel like I have. So I want to welcome you all and thank you for inviting me, Mike King especially, who's always has such a great connection. So I really want to shout out to Mike King. And you are at Keys to a Winning Team. So I have 1 hour to deliver Keys to a Winning Team. So I have my work cut out for me. However, I know that we already have people who are part of or lead winning teams. So what we're trying to do today is just tweak things. So let's go ahead and get started with Mentimeter. And I do see that there are some Q&As coming up. There are about 5 questions in the chat in the Q&A that I'm not able to answer because I'm not the host. And I was wondering if someone could have a look at those and respond to those in case they are needing some advice. So you're going to take out your Mentimeter. You're going to look at Mentimeter, and there should be a question on there that says, who composed the music for Sonic the Hedgehog? And so as you start answering, you select an option, and then after you select your option, okay, someone's picked Justin Bieber, someone's picked Michael Jackson. So we've got 4 people who have submitted so far. Look, you guys are using this and doing great. I'm really impressed. We've got 7 people, 9 people have taken it and are doing really great. So we've got 9, we've got 23 on the call, so it'd be good if we could, oh, we've got 10 now. Good. Okay. So that's how Mentimeter works. And what I like about it is I'm just doing this silly one here in order to give you guys an idea of the functionality and how when I start to ask really serious questions, how your answers are going to come up. Now, no one can see the individual answers, including myself. And then when we're finished, you'll get a copy of all of the answers and how they have been accumulated. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the next slide, and it should slide on your iPhone as well, or excuse me, those of you who have Android. So I'm going to give everybody a break and just remind you, not a break, we're going to watch a real quick leadership video, but if you haven't been able to get on the site, it's up there at the top of the screen, menti.com, and the code number is up there as well. So here's a video we're going to watch. It'll take just a couple minutes. So I love this quote from Vince Lombardi: individual commitment to a group effort or goal, that is what makes a team work. Oh, and it's gone now. And then you can tell that I'm someplace. Let me see if I can get past this slide. Here we go. Yeah. So what did you guys think of the video? You may or may not have noticed that they talked about some things in the video. And when I first found this, I thought, gosh, we have to be prepared and synchronized and unified and engaged and have a common goal and be focused and dedicated. And we have to do our job as leaders, right? As leaders, as managers. So just quickly, using Menti again. So for those of you who haven't used it yet, you go to menti.com and put in the code number 8558392, and this question will be posed to you. So go ahead and answer the question, and you will rate the question. Please evaluate the following statements. My team is prepared on a scale of 1 to 10. And if you want it to be a 1, it would be more over to the left. And if it's a 5, it'll be to the right. So go ahead and submit your questions. Here we go. We've got 2 in. You'll also notice that at the bottom of the screen, there on some of the slides, you'll be able to give a thumbs up if you like something, or you can even ask a question and then I'll be able to answer those questions too. So we've got 8 participating so far. So it looks like, no one's at a 5 so far, but I wouldn't really expect that. And if you said it, maybe you wouldn't even be telling the truth, right? Obviously, we all have areas for improvement. So we've got 11 people so far. It looks like my team is engaged is maybe one of the lowest scores right now. Perhaps that's that's from the whole thing with the pandemic, or, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty and fear around this pandemic. But look at some of the other things, really pretty high over here in the high areas of this scoring. So strongly agree isn't necessarily the answer that you have, but, you know, there's some great opportunities here. So thank you for participating. We had 12 people participate in that. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next. So this is a little bit about me, and Josh did a great job of introducing me, but I am a certified business coach with Action Coach Business Coaching. I'm a business owner. I have owned 4 businesses. I currently own 2. I have a bachelor's degree in organizational leadership and management. I have lots of grandkids. I was just told about a week ago that number 10 is going to be here in February. So I really am passionate about my grandchildren and what I do with my in my work. It's kind of a really nice balance. I feel like I get to be my best in both because I love my grandkids and I love my clients. Oh, somebody just gave me a thumbs up. So here's another opportunity to use the Menti. What's the one thing you want or need to change about your leadership style? And I see, I think I actually did that little typo in there when I was testing this earlier. So what are some things that you need to do or want to do or about changing your own leadership style? Maybe you need to read more. Maybe you need to find a mentor. Maybe you need to take a class. Maybe you need to control your temper. What other things could you think that you could want or need to change about your leadership style? So go ahead and enter your question. You can type as many responses as you like. So it looks like we've got leave the friend zone. Wow, you know, it's hard to be a leader and a friend sometimes. It's possible, but it can be difficult. Someone has said be more patient, following through on holding people accountable, be more understanding of employee situations. Absolutely. I mean, right now more than ever, we've all gotten some good practice in that, haven't we? Be more consistent, be more proactive instead of reactive, and investing more in learning. Make more patients take leadership courses, and quitting letting their actions define my mood. Wow, I'm going to be sharing some information around that statement in a little bit. I think you'll like. We've gotten 9 responses so far, and you can you can submit as many as you like. And I promise you, we're not going to be doing this the whole time either. We'll have a little mix, a little bit of mix. So I think these are some, probably someone else has added, be more patient and communicate goals better. Absolutely. So as a leader, one of the things I love about, as leaders, I love this quote that basically says, once you've told your team what your goals are, your vision and your mission, and you're sick and tired of telling them, well, they're about halfway with you then. And it's exhausting, isn't it, to have to be a leader over and over and continue to tell that story of what it is that we expect from them. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the next slide. So this is that slide that I was telling you about just a minute ago that I think, and this will be as part of a handout that you'll have. A lot of people want this after they attend one of our workshops because it's such a valuable, concise way to determine how to start your day and also how to coach other people. So as leaders and managers, any tool that you can get can be helpful in that. Right? So basically we call it the point of power, and it's a guiding principle of everything we do with our coaching clients and the people that we work with. Below the point, and you get to pick where you want to be, above or below the point. And below the point is blame, excuse, denial, and the very lowest point of power is denial. It's just like, I don't have any responsibility in that. No how, no way. Who do you know? And you don't have to participate here, but there's no one that doesn't know someone who lives in denial, or they have an excuse for everything, or they blame. I've talked to people who literally think that Trump is causing their business problems. And that is an excuse. I mean, maybe a little bit, but hello, how do we come above the point in life and take ownership, accountability, and responsibility? And you can see the acronym is OR. So that's an OR for rowing our boat wherever we want to go. And the difference between above and below the point is either you're powerful or you're powerless. So what I like about this, especially as a leader, is explaining this this idea or this principle to your team, and then just using it as a guide. Okay, Jane, you come in late 4 days a week this week. You've come in late 4 days a week. How can you take accountability, ownership, and responsibility for that? Because it's bothering. It's in policy procedures. And it also makes everybody else uncomfortable when you come in late. How can you take ownership, accountability, and responsibility and be powerful? So it's a really cool tool. The next one is the failure to participate. So how do we as leaders not participate? Well, sometimes we don't walk the walk, or sometimes we don't hold people accountable or participate in a workshop or activity or training of some kind. So the only failure is the failure to participate. So we as leaders have the opportunity to show participation and ask for 100% participation from our team, no matter what it is that we're asking for them. Following the rules, coming to work on time, being a team player, understanding the vision, participating fully. The other is, you can see that there's 3 things laying on top of it. And normally the slides come in and I say to get the most out of learning today, because like I said when I first started this presentation, you guys are already really smart and you know a lot, but many of us know things, but we don't necessarily apply them. So this principle is, instead of saying I know, instead of that we say, isn't that interesting? So who of us has a child or ourselves as a teenager and our parents said, hey, put your seatbelt on, turn down the radio, and don't be on the phone. I know, I know, I know. Well, even as adults, as soon as we say I know, we kind of just, our brain goes kind of into neutral and doing other things. So even if I share something today which you've heard, which most of what I'm sharing today, many of you have heard, but just have your mind be open and say, isn't that interesting? The other thing is be willing to have some fun. Now, if this was live, I would have all of you, or if I could see all of you, I would have you all get up and do the boogie dance with me, because I think it truly is important to have fun, and acknowledging that fun is important at no matter what age, and we can bring fun to some degree into the workplace. The other thing that you can expect from today's presentation, and hopefully from the comments that you see other people making during the interaction, is what we call blinding flashes of the obvious. So hopefully from one of your peers or from what you see in the presentation, you'll see something, oh my gosh, blinding flash of the obvious. I knew that, but I heard it in a new way today that makes it obvious, and because of that, I'm either going to do something different, I'm going to take some kind of action. So it's time to expand your comfort zone. The thing is, as leaders, we can get to a point and get pretty comfortable, right? And think, well, I'm as good as I'm going to get. But if we really want to continue to grow, because we're either growing or dying. So if we want to expand personally or in business or as a leader, we have to go outside of our comfort zone. And I think the interesting thing about that, really the fun happens outside of the comfort zone. So getting through that comfort zone is huge. I'm going to make this thing go away. Hold on just a minute. I'm going to hide my video, hide floating meeting control. Okay, good. That's gone. Okay, if, let's see, what was I just saying? See how distracted I was? Oh, expand your comfort zone. Because if we don't expand our comfort zone, the beauty of expanding the comfort zone, believe it or not, is getting new problems. But the problems that we have or that we're coaching our employees through, if nothing gets done about them, then the problems on planet Earth, they just keep coming around and around and around. If I have a client who every single week tells me the same thing about this employee, every single week, this problem, well, one of these days you're going to have to take care of it. So dealing with problems on the planet Earth before they become too big is huge, because when you run from your problems, they just get bigger, right? So let's say you've got an employee who comes in late, and I keep using this poor employee, and as a leader, that's a tap. Tap, tap, tap. Oh, they're coming in late. Yeah, it's a problem. I really should talk to them. I don't really want to. Well, if we ignore the tap, or if we ignore the tap of a health issue we have, for example, and we ignore this employee issue, well, then we might get hit by a 2x4, because another employee may say, I've had it. If I don't get treated the same way that this person gets treated, then I'm moving, or I'm going, or I want to transfer. Until finally, if it gets to the point where we don't do anything about it and we continue to run, or we allow our team to run, we get hit by a Mack truck. And let's face it, when you get hit by a Mack truck, sometimes there's really no going back. So whenever we can, as we travel the roadway of life, listen to the taps and be open to those. The other thing, and I know Mike King knows this, he's probably going, oh yeah, because his team has participated in this formula. So this is called the formula for change. And I'm not sure if anyone's ever shared this with you, but have you ever wondered why some people, no matter what, will not change? Nope. They'll complain, but nothing ever changes. So in the formula for change, if you want real change, there's got to be enough dissatisfaction about whatever current situation you're in, multiplied, and this is very important, and multiplied by your vision of what life can be like after, right? Plus whatever the first steps are has to be greater than your resistance to change. So let's say I have decided that I am going to get fit because the doctor said, hey, your blood sugar's up. If you don't do something, something's going to happen. So finally, I'm dissatisfied enough that I don't want to take the medicine. My vision is I'm going to be able to fit into a new size of clothes. The first step is I'm going to join a gym or go for a walk, and I'm going to join an online diet program. If those are my first steps and my dissatisfaction times my vision is greater than my resistance, which is to go back into the living room and eat snacks while I'm watching TV every night, if my dissatisfaction multiplied by my vision plus those first steps is greater, then there'll be change. And only then. So you can be really, really visionary about something, but not dissatisfied enough for change, and this formula doesn't work. You can also be so overwhelmed by the first steps, no matter what your dissatisfaction is or vision, that you might not make change. So sometimes when a person's making change, it's good to coach them through or help them with it in a mentorship kind of way. So then we have the question of why do people stay where they are? And if you were in the room, can you see the little thumbs up on your slide? If you can see the thumbs up on your slide and you've heard fear stands for false expectations appearing real, well, you just click the thumbs up, because I'm curious to know how many people have seen this. Okay, I've got some coming up. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one person said no. Okay, good. I'm glad that person said no to that. So when someone says, let me give you an example of why people stay there where they are. We make things so big but they feel real. So, oh my gosh, I am so scared. I've got so much fear about having a conversation with this troubled employee, because if I do, then they're going to quit. And if they quit, then I'm going to have to hire someone. Then if I hire someone, I'm going to, And so our brains go all over the place, creating fear in us that seems so real that our heart starts to race. So we have to learn to acknowledge, is it real fear? Now, real fear is you're leaning over the cliff and you know you need to step back. That's real fear, and that heart rate is true. But the false expectations that we have that seem real that maybe are not, if we can talk through them, oftentimes we can make meaningful change in the work environment, in our relationships and with our children and everywhere. So, figuring out what you fear and then doing it. And fear isn't necessarily always sports related. So if I coach a lot of people in the area of marketing and sales and business development, and some of them will say, well, I don't want to make calls on Thursday afternoons because everyone goes golfing. Really? Well, let's dive a little bit into that. And what's your fear around making a call? What would happen? Is somebody going to answer the phone and go, don't ever call me again? There is so much fear around cold calling that people have convinced themselves they're going to get slaughtered if they do it. And you know what's amazing? People want to be called today. So that's different. So that's an example of how asking yourself, what do I fear the most, and doing it. And that changes the trajectory for all the things that your brain is fearful of. The other thing, of course, is our own identity. And so this is the identity iceberg that we call it. And so many of you know what an iceberg is. It's what the iceberg is what you see on what you see above the surface is just a little teeny bit. Really, what you see above the surface is about 10% of the iceberg. And people are very much the same way. So you've got an employee or a teammate or someone on the executive team, and what you see, and we can observe in others pretty easily, is the results they get from their actions, their behaviors, and their decisions. So we see the actions of maybe they come in late, or maybe they're always on time, and maybe they're the employee that that always wants to take on the extra project, and the results that they get are very different than the person who has the opposite actions, opposite behaviors, and decisions. But right below the surface of the water are the skills. So if a person does not have the skills that they need to get the results that they get, they're not going to perform those actions, those behaviors, and make the right kind of decisions. And here's an example of that. Let's say that all your friends are going skiing this weekend, and you're super excited about it. You've never skied before, but what's the likelihood you're going to be the first one to jump on those skis and go? Your skill is going to determine the action that you take, about how timid you're going to be around that, your behaviors and the decisions and the results you get. If your skills are completely limited and you can't, your results may be that you're not going to ski. Well, maybe the skills around skiing or not have to do with your beliefs. So let's say, for example, that as a child, your family believed that lakes are dangerous. We don't go to the lakes because that's where snakes reside and it's horrible. And so we're not going. Nope. If we're going to go anywhere, we're going to go someplace where it's safe. We're going to go to the beach where they watch the shore, and it's so much safer. Because if your beliefs have been that it's awful to go skiing, what's the likelihood that you would ever learn the skill to ski if for your whole life you've been believing that it's dangerous and it's dirty and there's snakes or whatever in the water? But what undergirds that is the values that you have around, let's say the values that your family have are spending vacations at your camping site someplace with all of your family, and that they value that anytime you spend time together, you do it with everyone. They don't put any value with going alone out to boat. The value they create, and you've been grooming and growing up with your whole life, is we value the whole family and activities. So the likelihood those values are going to teach you the beliefs to get a boat, learn how to do it, and get the results of a great skier, it's very unlikely. But what undergirds that even still is the identity. So this is really, really deep in the iceberg, but we can make impact to our identity, because our identity, we may have held some beliefs that were not necessarily true. Like I one time had someone tell me that I wasn't really very good at color painting. And so for the longest time, I didn't paint. I didn't color, I didn't do anything. And so maybe that belief that someone said to me hasn't created the value and the identity that's serving me well today as a very creative human being that I am. So the identity is basically something that you say to yourself when no one's listening. I am organized. I am good at math. I am always late. I am a great husband, wife, sister, brother, mother. Whatever you say after the words I am are going to drive what you value, the beliefs that you have, ultimately your skills, ultimately your results. But way down deep is our environment. And the environment is where we live, who we hang out with, what we consume. Facebook, have you ever, in your environment, you're watching Facebook or you're at home or you're watching Netflix for 22 hours straight and hanging around people who talk about how horrible the politics is right now, blah, 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 blah. Well, that environment shapes you. So if you think about an iceberg, if the iceberg's up in Alaska, it's a very different environment than it is when it's in California or Florida or some other environment. So huge, huge way for us to be shaped. And it's oftentimes appears to be out of our control, our environment, but it's the people we hang around with, the thoughts we think to ourselves, the things we consume in terms of, and who we hang around with, for sure. So how do you, I've given you all this stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, I've got to be a leader and do all of this. There are strategies and there are formulas. And here's another one. And I think a lot of you will resonate with this. And if you can see your thumbs up, thumbs down, go ahead and tell me if you like this or if you've heard it before. So the formula for life success, we believe, is if you want to have something, what do you have to do? But more importantly, who do you have to be? So the way this works, let's say I want to have a PhD. Let's say I want to have my PhD in organizational leadership and management. If I'm going to do that, I've got to become disciplined, believe in myself, behave in a way that gives me discipline and long-term vision, right? Because a PhD takes many years. But if I have a B and I have all of that B, but I'm not doing the work, I'm not scheduling myself to take classes, I'm not meeting with a counselor, I'm not getting my financial aid or whatever it is I need, I'm not going to have what it is I say I want to have. So the be times the do is what you have in order to have. So looking back on that, so I've got some friends who like, I want to have $1 million, man. I really want to have $1 million in the bank by the time I retire. And I'm not going to be living on Social Security. Okay, what kind of things are you doing? Well, you all know you've got to do the hard stuff, save money, make tough decisions, choose something that is, you know, be disciplined in order to have a B that multiplied by a do to get you the have to be a millionaire. But anything in life and in business that you want to have, it's a formula and you can just work it backwards. So I hope you like that. Now this is one of the slides that I'm sending out in a PDF, because a lot of times people want to hang these around in their office or share this concept with your team, because it's something that you can, after you've learned it, you can help other people, you can coach other people. And I tell you, when your team members are ready to hear these messages and you keep giving them these messages, one day they'll show up and they'll learn something new and they'll learn something too. They themselves will go out of their comfort zone, thanks to you learning something new. So this is about keys to the winning team. First, of course, there's strong leadership. And I mean, obviously, no company, organization, profit, nonprofit, whatever is going to be good without the right kind of leadership. And we believe that leadership is part passion, part responsibility. And I love this because, so the managers, it's 16 cylinders basically of high performance. And you hire managers to be on your team or your team. And the body is basically, the skill they bring, the skill that they have. Let's say they're an accountant or they're a receptionist or a med tech or whatever that they are. They're equipped with their body to do those things. At the highest level, that's a 3, because you can be there in body and get the job done, right? Well, another cylinder, and if you're firing on all 3 of these, is the mind. It's that the employee is at the top of their game. They continue to learn. They do training. So the performance of a manager can be as high as a 6. But we want to get leaders out of the managers that we have. How do we do that? Well, you've got to have mind and body, right? That's a minimum at all 6 cylinders. But then what about the heart? So what's the heart in your organization for high performance? Is it showing up when you have to be on call, or whatever is it? The spirit. What's the spirit? What is your strength as a leader that shows your spirit to your team, so that when you are working in your environment, that you are firing on all cylinders, all 16 cylinders of high performance. This is a really fun thing to take a team through and say, well, where you are in the body, what do you need to learn about your job? What about your mind? How can you have more heart in your business, maybe, or in your work? Do you need to train someone? Do you need to be a mentor? How do we help people fire on more of the cylinders? Then we have this perturbation. So you've got people who are maybe they're leaders and they're firing on three cylinders or 6 cylinders, but before a business changes or a culture changes or anything meaningful happens, there has to be some kind of pressure. And perturbation is the pressure that you feel right before you grasp something or you're learning something. Have you ever had that anticipation when, oh my gosh, I've got to make this presentation, or I've got to do this, and there's all this pressure coming in? There has to be emotion with it. And there's really only 2 ways. You can either push through emotion and have a breakthrough, or you can quit, and that's okay in some cases. But as leaders, we want to encourage the feeling of pressure and emotion, which elicits perturbation, because that's when we have a breakthrough. And sharing what our common goals are. So does everyone on your team know what the department goals are and how we celebrate them? What are the goals of the organization? And the organization organization doesn't necessarily have to share everything financial, but what happens when we meet our financial goals? How will we celebrate? What will we do? And sharing that common goal, and it's so important to have that. And because that vision for you as leaders, if you can share that vision and are inspired yourself, then you can enroll and inspire others. But that can't be done without a really clear vision and a clear ability to inspire. So one more thing that we get to do as leaders, right? Also, keys to a winning team are rules of the game. So what are the rules of the game? So I've got some companies who have, that I work with, that have what we call, well, as you decide to grow and change, that perturbation happens. And as you raise standards, some people won't come with you. You know, they don't want to change. When the standards and norm go up in an organization, you may see perturbation, and some people won't make it through, and that's okay, because when we're changing and pushing through to a new space, the team will look different. And you get to choose what kind of culture you have. Do you have a loose culture versus a tight culture? Lots of rules. Some companies, some organizations do, some don't, but whatever they are, you get to define what they are as leaders. You know, are we a people organization? Are we a fun organization? Are we whatever kind of organizational culture we have? We get to decide what it is and share our expectations of our culture. And then having an action plan. I love this. So does everyone on your team know what the action plan is for everyone on the team? So who does what by when? And are you posting that? So I've got some clients who they write 2020 action plan. David does this by this. Amy does this by this. And it's a little thing, but it's kind of an accountability measure. It's an action. And people love to take action. All personalities like to take action, and that accountability piece is important. But all you need to do is share the plan and ask them to participate in who does what by when, and then make that public. So then there's support risk taking. So that could be, let's say someone has an idea about a new way to do business, or maybe we need to have a break apart from a vendor, or maybe we need to have a breakdown in this department and move someone to another department and bring someone over here. Maybe we just need to break up our entire department and do something different, or have a break with a tradition. But anytime we have a breakdown or a break with or a break apart or a break up, it follows, a breakthrough usually follows. So these kinds of things are good. They're not comfortable, lots of perturbation going on, but when we give it that term, it's really helpful. And then, of course, there is Kaizen, and this is a very common term for manufacturing, and basically it is constant and never-ending improvement. So if you were to go and look at the Amazon distribution plant even 1 year ago, you would see that it grew, it plateaued, it grew, it plateaued, and that's what Kaizen is about. It's about never-ending improvement, because if you're not growing, you're dying, and if you're not improving, you're simply not getting better. And that can be applied in any field that has people, basically. And then 100% involvement and inclusion for everyone that's on your team. Some of the best ideas come from people who are not necessarily in the role of leadership. And a good example of that is Starbucks. So there was several years back, there was a small Starbucks store in Montana, I believe. It was Montana, I think. And this person was creating these cold drinks and adding stuff to it and fluffing it around. And the manager came and said, "You can't do that. We don't offer that product." And she said, "Oh, it's the #1 selling product that we have." And he said, "Well, you can't do that." And well, the founder, and his name is escaping me at the moment, for some reason was at this store, and this employee said, look, we've been selling 90% of our sales are for this new product that I dreamed up, and it's called a Frappuccino. Can you imagine if the founder of the organization of Starbucks had not been stopped in and said, you know what, that's okay. Let's involve and include people, because our employees see things at a completely different level and lens than we can. So when we can include them for feedback, input, and then we can have a true winning team. Okay, I am about finished here. I want to make sure we have some time for questions, and I don't know how we're going to do that actually with you guys, me not hearing you, but I do have a couple, one more thing I'd like you to do. Rate on a scale of 0 to 5, 1 being very dissatisfied and 5 being dissatisfied, the interaction. How did you like using the phone today? Oh my gosh, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Oh, stop it. Really? Stop doing that to me. Oh, okay. Now we got a 4.5, but that's okay. I shouldn't have been ornery. This is helpful too, because it is a new way of doing things, and trying to value technology and use it in this environment is so challenging. So we've gotten 5 people so far participating, and I will not know who said what. It's all completely, what's the word? Anonymous. And you will be getting the slides at the end. So you'll get above and below the point, I believe the perturbation, the B times 2 equals have, and then also the results for this information that we presented today. So,
hey Lee.
Yes.
This is Melissa. If your Menti software allows them to just ask the questions in the chat there, they can do that, or they're welcome to ask them in the Q&A, and I can just let you know what they are, whatever your preference is. Okay,
thank you. So you heard Melissa, so if you have a question, and I am going to encourage you to ask a question, because once one person asks a question, then other people will. So it's always good as a leader to be the first. So go ahead and try that if you would, please. Is Mike, yes. So who's going to be the first to ask a question? So we've had 8 people participate in the Menti. I'm wondering if people had a challenge with it, because I think we had 23 people on the call. So maybe that's the case, could be. If there are no questions, I'll go ahead and move to the next slide. This is just my contact information and what we do. And I cut out several things that I thought I should have covered, because I thought with the interaction it would take longer. So we have a little bit of time. I guess you guys can go and have your lunch, but if you want. So this is a little contact information about me. You can reach me at leegray@actioncoach.com. We do executive and leadership business coaching. I do a lot of DISC, Gallup strengths, assessments and training, and we do custom workshops, leadership, time management, supervisor, team building, and strategic planning. And I love to do these kinds of topics as well. We have a full day on 6 keys to a winning team that I tried to kind of compress into this 1 hour time frame. And so anyway, I guess if there are no questions and you guys are finished, we're done. What do you think, Melissa?
Hey, Lee, yeah, thank you, Lee, for the time today. I really do appreciate it. Again, I do appreciate the attendees for logging in today. We do appreciate your time. We know you're busy again. I think we all know that the Academy, we love getting together for the networking piece, and, we're all having to kind of adapt to these new times. So that's the one thing that we're struggling with is, trying to bring that interaction and the networking that we all miss so much. But, we'll just have to deal with it as it sees fit today. Lee, I will take one thing away, and I'll use that line, isn't that interesting? So when my wife keeps telling me something, I'll just keep saying, isn't that interesting? We'll see how long she plays along with me on that one.
Well, I don't want to be in the responsibility of a marital fight, but yeah, it is. It's really funny when people start to to agree that we're not going to go to I know mode and they start saying, isn't that interesting? They will call people out on it. It's really fun to apply these things. They're so simple, but they really are, they really do work and can really make meaningful change. So I'm glad you got that, Josh. I appreciate that.
No, I've got several great takeaways here. I always come away with some great tidbits. So we do appreciate your time today. Look forward to talking to you offline about some other projects that we're working on. Wish everybody the best of luck. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you next month. Talk to you soon.
See you later.